So, race 2 of the night. It's the first of our two top 20 reverse grid races, and this one has James Gill starting on reverse grid pole alongside Alexandros Marivkani with Charlie Pouillet and Matt Cook on row 2. Then comes Colin Ward and Richard Spanners ready on row 3. Then comes Gregoire Gomez. Got a lot of work to do after that very difficult feature race. He goes from 7th ahead of Daniel Snorterland, who won the silver class in the feature race. Tara Tylis and Mark Greenhow line up on row 5, then Jose O'Donnell and Lucas Raskowitz on row 6, Alexander Dobertsberger and Alex Smith, the gold class winner from that previous race, 13th and 14th. Then comes Tim Ellis and Alex Joneswell, and our front runners from the feature race, Kyle Power, Luke Power starting alongside each other, Stephen Williams and Danny Henney going from 20th on the grid after victory in the feature race. All 5 lights are on for the sprint. And it's lights out at Suzuka once again. A very good start made by the 4th place car, and already pulling out and moving up into a podium position here, going side by side now with Alexandros Marivkani. That is Matt Cook, who's pulled clear, and Colin Ward making up good ground as well. He's up into 4th place ahead of Richard Spanners ready, but a very clean start made despite the jumbled up order there. Looks like all the cars have been able to get away safely. So it's James Gill that leads, Matt Cook and Marivkani down to 3rd place. Then Colin Ward and Gregoire Gomez, he's made up 2 places into 5th already. Then Daniel Snorterland and Spanners in 7th. Taratalas, Jose O'Donnell and Mark Greenhow. That is the top 10 as they emerge out of the second Degner for the first time. Matt Cook already setting about closing the lead gap to James Gill. But Gill has been a very difficult car to pass in these previous races. He might be a silver class driver, but he defends like a platinum. We're on board with Gomez in 5th place here. Looking at the back of the Rothmans Williams liveried Colin Ward with a big run here going towards Spoon Curve and looking up the inside. Now this is an ambitious move to make on the first lap as Ward runs just a tad wide in the middle of the corner, and Gomez here will have the momentum all the way down this back straight. Apologies for the blinking of the liveries. That's the graphic system not quite playing ball at the moment, but Gomez draws clear and into 4th place by the time they get into 130R. And the lead battle making its way into the chicane, getting very close together there as Matt Cook has already got himself onto the gearbox of James Gill, who doesn't lead by much as they go over the timing line. The gap is less than half a second as they start lap 2, and Marivkani seemed like he had a bit of a swapper there because he's lost an awful lot of ground on that lead battle going out of the chicane. Matt Cook staring at the back of James Gill here. Silver class leader versus the gold class leader at the moment as they wind their way through the S's. There's no way through here, just got to keep it neat and tidy and try and hang on to the back of that car in front as much as possible. Give you an update a little bit further back. Stephen Williams has made his way up to 15th, Danny Henney in 14th, Kyle Power in 13th as well, so they've got away cleanly and starting to make forward progress. There's Kyle Power leading that train on the back of Tim Ellis there, and they need to start working together to get their way up the order. They're looking at the back of Charlie Pouillet, who started in 4th down to 11th. And look at this, real congestion here as Luke Power was looking up the inside of Danny Henney there for 14th and 15th. Luke Power might have actually left himself a little bit exposed to Stephen Williams, that narrower line out of the hairpin, but nothing doing by the time they get into Spoon Corner. There's on board with Stephen Williams looking at the back of Luke Power, who's looking at the back of Henney, who's looking at the back of Kyle Power, who's looking at the back of Tim Ellis as well. This is a great battle. These leaders that we saw in the previous race right down in the thick of the action. Ellis in 12th place, leading them down. And staring at the back of Charlie Pouillet still. And again, as we get into the bigger braking zones, it's a big old traffic jam there. Now, who was that just spun off? It looks like Daniel Snorterland, the silver class race winner from the previous race. Going for a spin there. That, of course, has promoted our front runners from the previous race by 1 spot. So Kyle Power up into 11th. He was able to dispatch of Tim Ellis there in the meanwhile, so he's actually made up 2 places. Stephen Williams still looks at the back of Luke Power's car, and Henney getting right into the back of Tim Ellis now as well, who might just be slightly more the cork in the bottle here. Heading towards the Degners. Once again, we're on that 3 of 11. The action's going to come thick and fast here. It's a much shorter race for the sprint and not a lot of time for our leaders from the feature race to get themselves up the order at all, as this is a big braking manoeuvre here from Danny Henny. Almost got caught out there, I think, by Tim Ellis's braking, as that looks like Lucas Raskovitz, who's gone a smidge wide there at the hairpin, and Kyle Powers now on the back of him as well, and that is because Charlie Pouillet made his way through into 9th. And Henny's still looking for a way past there, as look at that, Raskovitz coming back at Pouillet into Spoon Corner for that 9th place, and Kyle Powers got the best view of this battle as well, as they're going to go side by side. Powers going to try and take advantage of this as he starts to draw alongside Raskovitz. He's going to have to go around the outside of 130R. Power is no stranger to a brave move indeed, and surely he'll consolidate this place under braking for the chicane. Raskovitz not taking this line down though. He makes Power work for it, and he gets it done, and Power moves himself up into 10th place, and Danny Henny trying to take advantage of that pack backing up as he's side by side with Ellis for 12th place. And they're going to go side by side into the first corner. I believe it was these two who came together at this part of the circuit this time last season and pitched Henny into the barriers. No such repeat of those dramas this time around, and Henny moves up into 12th place. In the meanwhile, Gregoire Gomez has set the fastest lap of the race, and now less than a second covers the top 3, as Gill still leads with Matt Cook bearing down on him, but Gregoire Gomez has joined the fight as well in that BWT liveried car. Previously running the colours of the French flag was Gomez, but opting for something even more striking for this season with the change to the Formula Renault 3.5 car. He's arrived on the back of the scene. I have no doubt that he will make fairly short work of the 2 cars in front of him. For Gomez, this would be a second sprint race win of the season if he were to pull it off, and he would level Alexander Dorsberger for the most wins throughout the season, be that feature or sprint. And look at this now, side by side for the leader of the race as Matt Cook makes his manoeuvre. He's seen Gomez in the mirrors and realises he needs to make the move. And it was very, very tight indeed, as Gill was not looking to give up that place so easily. And Matt Cook here, I think he's left himself a bit exposed to Gregoire Gomez, who is right on the gearbox of Matt Cook, coming down the front straight now. And Gill goes defensive first. Matt Cook to the outside. Gomez deciding to... now that was Cook trying to get up the inside rather ambitiously. It's turn 2. Oh, he's dropped it and into the barriers. So a very easy move indeed for Gregoire Gomez in the end, because Matt Cook has dropped it out of turn 2, lit up those rear tyres there, maybe on the curb, maybe as a result of that narrow line he was taking, but suddenly Matt Cook out of contention here, and Gomez is looking at the back of James Gill for the lead of the race. Now, while we've been watching that, our protagonists from the previous race have been storming up the field, because Kyle Power suddenly finds himself in 6th place with Henny in 8th. That's really rather rapid pace. So Henny there in 8th place, looking at the back of Charlie Pouillet there in that black number 158 car. We're looking through the nose of Danny Henny here on the run up to Spoon Corner. Not the most traditional overtaking spot on the circuit, but he's going to go for it here on the inside. And that is Henny up into 7th place. Now he's going to get after Kyle Power, who is now the championship leader after that very difficult race for Gregoire Gomez. I believe Gomez would actually, he might well be taking it back if he ends up winning this race. And he may well do now as well, because they were side by side going into the chicane, but James Gill standing his ground on the brakes on the inside. This is what I was talking about, because James Gill has just been the master of defending since arriving in this championship. The overall speed hasn't been excellent, hence his class in silver, but this is going to be easy pickings now for Gomez on the inside. And through turns 1 and 2, Gregoire Gomez takes the lead of the race. And providing he can keep it on the straight and narrow here for the remaining 6 laps of the race, half race distance, then he will be well on his way to a third win of the season. Just behind them, we've got the gold class lead being battled out between Mark Greenhow and Jose O'Donnell. Only separated by 0.6 of a second in third and fourth overall. Alexander Dotsberger in a bit of a race of his own, 3 seconds behind them and 2.5 seconds clear of Carl Power in sixth. Danny Henny now in 7th place as well after that move on Charlie Pouillet, who's dropped a little further back as Raskovitz has gone through, Luke Power's come through, Stephen Williams has come through as well. That's actually top 10 now. As Danny Henny looking to close that gap on his old sparring partner, his title rival for the last 2 seasons. And by the end of this season, he would hope so again as well. But Henny's got an awful lot of work to do to close down that points deficit that he suffered in the first few rounds of the championship. We're coming into the second half of the season now. It's a 6-round season. And we're now at round 4. And Henny going into this one with a 61-point deficit. And Henny has made short work of that gap. Absolutely. It's now down to just 0.3 of a second as he's hoovering up that slipstream through 130R and towards the chicane we go. They're not. Henny had a big internet drop there by the looks of it, because it didn't just go on those monitors, it went on my other one as well. So, but we're back now, and Henny is still chasing the back of that sister Venom Works car through the first couple of corners and into the S's. Now we're on lap 7 of 11. These guys have come up from the order. Henny from 20th on the grid. Power from 17th after their successes in the feature race. And amazing to see these two rivals, but also good friends of the championship, fighting it out once again in this sprint race. I can't tell you how many times we've seen these guys go toe to toe, and it be some of the best racing that you'll ever see on iRacing. They've had some great championship fights over the last couple of seasons. And it looks like Henny definitely has the upper hand here in terms of the pace he has done all week long. Look at the power here. It's super close. He had to back out of it before Spoon Curve. Such was his momentum going into the double apex left-hander. But this is going to be pretty difficult for Power to defend here, I'd have thought, because Henny's going to be getting that slipstream all the way down. Now, Henny was telling me he doesn't quite like using the DRS on this part of the track. So this to me looks like it's just natural slipstream. It's drawn him up alongside here into the braking zone. He's going to have to go the long way round, and Power doesn't give him much space on the outside there at all, and nor did Henny expect it, I would say. So now this is where Henny prefers to use the DRS, and he may well be using it here right in the slipstream. Power's hugging the pit wall on the inside. He's going to force Henny the long way round, but he hasn't got enough of an overlap to try and challenge around the outside. And this is just some classic wheel-to-wheel racing here that we've seen for so long between these two. All squabbling all over 6th place at the moment as they've been coming up the order. They are dropping further back actually from Dobbsberger in 5th while they're fighting. Dobbsberger closing in on Mark Greenhow for 4th place. Incidentally, O'Donnell has taken the gold class lead while we've been watching all that. So he's into 3rd place overall. And that looks to me like it would be back-to-back class victories for O'Donnell, despite the reverse grid. So a fantastic performance so far today from this man. And that battle for 6th place heading up towards Spoon Corner once again. Not too far behind these guys. Power once again leads Henny down this back straight. And Henny looking a little bit closer than he was this time around. So we saw he was able to draw alongside by the time they got to the chicane. So what's going to happen this time is they flick through 130R. Now, expecting to see Henny appear on the left-hand side here. Henny braking early. Henny going very early on the brakes. tucking in behind him. Look how close he is to Power on the exit. Surely there's going to be no defending this one for Kyle, no matter how tight he goes to the inside. Once again, practically hugging the pit wall, and close as you like, wheel to wheel, but Henny's got much more momentum on the outside now, but still can't make it work. On the outside of turns 1 and 2, Kyle Power is soaking up this pressure fantastically at the moment, and Luke Power has arrived on the scene as well. Henny is the meat in a power sandwich at the moment. Coming up through Dunlop once again, we're on lap 9 of 11, 22 to go after this one. Gregoire Gomez well out in front by nearly 3 seconds. All eyes are on this battle for 6th place between Kyle Power, our new championship leader, and Danny Henny, who was 5th in the standings going into this one. A tall order for him to close up the deficit that he's suffered in the first few rounds of the championship. Luke Power the younger, closing in on them as well. Brilliant stuff. And only 1 second behind them is Stephen Williams as well, who finished 2nd in the feature race. Now, once again, Henny with mega momentum out of the hairpin, but can't do anything with it by the time they get to Spoon, because he knows if he goes up the inside into Spoon, Power will just have him straight back down this straight as well. And actually, Henny's got to focus more on Luke than on Kyle here, because Luke is closer. Luke is closer to Henny than Henny is to Kyle. What's going to happen by the time we get down to the chicane? Because Henny's been able to draw up alongside once again. Is this going to be enough of an overlap for him this time? Big move under brakes, and this time Henny is well, I thought he'd been able to pull clear. Big swapper for Henny as he tries desperately to get on the Power on the outside of that final corner and loses big time to Power now. And look at this, Stephen Williams has entered the fight as well. So Henny's just been able to hang on here, because Luke's had to contend with Stephen Williams, who's gone right round the outside of the first corner and into 8th place. Wonderful opportunistic move there from Stephen Williams. That was a big moment there for Danny Henny. I'm sure that would have caught him unawares, and I'm sure Kyle was looking in his mirrors and laughing and really enjoying seeing the struggle behind him. This has been a fantastic scrap. Only a lap and a half to go at the moment, and yeah, Kyle Power is doing everything. He's deploying everything in his arsenal that he's got to keep Danny Henny at bay. He's doing a supreme job of it at the moment, and Henny, I'm sure, is getting a little bit frustrated with just how difficult it is to pass one of his oldest rivals in the championship, but I'm sure he'll be reveling in that challenge as well. Stephen Williams might fancy another place here. Can he do what he couldn't do in the feature race, which is to latch onto the back of and pass Danny Henny? He so nearly did it at the start in the feature race. He got a better launch off the line, but Henny was very aggressive in his defence. Forced Williams to back out of it, practically put him in the pit lane as they got off the line. And with shortly approaching 1 lap to go, Gomez has, he's about to start his final lap, just exiting the final corner now, but all eyes on that battle for 6th place, I'm sure, as Gomez starts his final lap now. Power, meanwhile, leads them over the line in 6th place. Fastest lap of the race set by Alex Dobbelsberger there, amazingly. But look at this, Power desperately trying to break the toe. And look at Stephen Williams trying to pull up on the outside into the first corner on Danny Henny there for that 7th place. Nothing doing, though, as they get into the 2 right-handers, now into the S's for the final time. And Stephen Williams is definitely mounting on the pressure here. The focus for Henny has gone from going ahead and attacking Power. He's focusing more on what's been happening behind him. First, there was a challenge from Luke Power. Now the challenge from Stephen Williams as well. His 7th place is under threat at the moment, and these are crucial points that he needs. He's had a poor run of form in the sprint races, been getting caught up in incidents. Not necessarily always his fault, of course, but he needs to bag these points if he's going to start eating into that championship lead. All well and good him doing the job in the feature races. Oh, now look at this. We've got some drama. There's Alex Dobbelsberger and Mark Greenhow that seem to have come together at the hairpin. So that's bumped this lot up to 4th, 5th and 6th and co. Now what's happened here? Oh, there was no contact at all. Poor Alex Dobbelsberger. Completely innocent in all that as Greenhow lit up the rear tyres and got it spun round. Dobbelsberger just had nowhere to go. So that battle for what is now 4th place heading down the straight now. But here comes Gregoire Gomez. Bit of redemption from the feature race. A very difficult one for him, but he's been supreme in this sprint race so far. He takes his 3rd victory of the season in the first sprint race of the night and just sets the fastest lap of the race right at the end there. James Gill, a sensational 2nd place finish and a dominant silver class performance there as well. Jose O'Donnell, gold class victory once again for him, and 3rd place on the overall podium. Car Power just hung on to 4th place there by just 0.2 of a second. A wonderful battle with Danny Henny. And let's see if we can have a word with our race winner. I'm going to bring in into the commentary box and have a word with Gregoire Gomez, who, after a difficult feature race, has got some redemption. Greg, that was a supreme performance.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it that. I'm happy to have gotten something out of tonight. I really, really dislike this track, and it is shown so far, but happy to get a win anyway.
Well, you can't dislike it too much if you've shown that kind of speed. I mean, it seems like you had some struggles in the feature race. What have been the major problems you've had?
It's just not being able to be consistently on pace without making mistakes. I had so many moments where I nearly died, and then it finally came by hitting Drillsma in the feature race, which was entirely my fault. So yeah, it was just I can't get more than 1 lap together without, you know, losing a second to the pace or so.
Well, you did a great job of it in the sprint race, so take some consolidation in that, and all the best for the final race of the night. You've got to do it from 20th place. Where do you think you can end up?
I guess top 10 is probably a good target. I guess the point will be to try and make up as many points as possible and just take it 1 position by 1 during the race through.
Sounds like a plan. All the best.
Thank you.
Oh, Gregoire Gomez, our race 2 winner. I don't know if we caught it on the stream there, but it looks like James Gill's doing some donuts down at the chicane after what was a supreme 2nd place finish. Very happy for him there. That is a remarkable performance. So Gregoire Gomez takes his 3rd victory of the season then. James Gill, the silver class victory. Fantastic 2nd place there. And Jose O'Donnell on the top step in the gold class. Carl Power beats Danny Henny in that titanic scrap there. Stephen Williams only 0.4 of a second behind them as well, with Luke Power 7th. Lucas Raskovitz in 8th. Tim Ellis and Charlie Pouillet completing the top 10. And on reverse grid pole, as we look a little bit further down the order, will be Alex Dromsma. So now he seemed to have a little bit of a shocker there in the 2nd race. Didn't quite see what happened to him, but he's recovered to a place where he's going to start from reverse grid pole with spanners ready, starting on the 2nd row of the grid as well. So it's looking very good for Alex Dromsma in the final race of the night. He too has 2 sprint race wins to his name and might well tot up a 3rd there if he can keep it neat and tidy from there. We'll find out in a few minutes though, because we're going to take a short break before we come back for the final race of the night.